You Do, the podcast that explores various occupations and industries and arms you with information about what that position entails and how someone gets that job. This show is for anyone who's ready for a career change or who's just entering the workforce. What will we discover today? Lean in and enjoy the show with your host, Chris.
Welcome to episode 5 of What Do You Do, the Career Podcast. In this episode, I interview a fellow interviewee's wife, Lydia, who is a professional potter. She is the wife of Wes, who was the digital sign tech. This is a pretty neat subject. It has to do with art, so it's always pretty interesting to learn about the history of it and what all is entailed. Before we begin the interview, I'd like to go ahead and share a quote by George S. Patton. It is, "Accept the changes so that you can feel the exhilaration of victory." That one's pretty neat. Gives me the oomph to do my day-to-day work. Anyways, on with the interview. All right, I'm here with Lydia. She is the wife of one of our previous podcast interviews of Wes, the digital sign tech. Lydia is a professional potter. She has been doing pottery on her own and is about to launch her own little business venture on Etsy. So let's go ahead and learn some more about pottery. So, Lydia, would you mind telling me a little bit more about how you found out about pottery and got involved with it?
That is a good question. So many people have had the privilege of finding pottery in high school or elementary school, but that was not me. I didn't find it until college. I was intending to go into education, teach kindergarten, something like that. But as one of the requirements for school, you had to take a couple of art credits. And going back a little bit, all through high school, I was into art. I took all the art classes that I could, but pottery was not one of them. So into college, after one semester of education, I learned it was just not for me. Too much reading and stuff. Not the reading is bad, but in one of my core art classes, just as the basics for the degree I was going to get, we went through the art building at the college, and something just kind of clicked, and I remembered that was really where I had to be. So one of the classes I took the next semester was ceramics. That, at first I was kind of put off by the sticky clay, and it was kind of like weird and smushy and looked like, I don't know what. But I really kind of got into it, and found that I was good at it. And I really wanted to learn, and just kind of stuck with it. So then that was in 2006, and now here we are 10 years later.
What are some of when I've done pottery,
mm-hmm.
I've done it, where I had a little table and spun, and I put my finger in there and turn it into a little bowl, and then I'd smash it back down,
yep.
and then turn it back into a bowl again. Is there different types of, clay to get different results?
Yeah.
Or what? Can you tell me a bit more about the process, of going from A to finished product?
So there are so many different ways of, for example, making a cup. The thing that everyone has seen, like in Ghost, obviously throwing on the wheel. It's the potter's wheel. It's something everybody's familiar with. Other than that, you can slab build, which that's kind of like rolling out a sheet of cookie dough and then forming it into whatever you can dream up. That's always really fun. And then there's slipcasting, which kind of you have to think about the process in reverse, because you have to make your masterpiece and then build a plaster mold from that, and then you can make casts of that. So there's kind of lots of different ways to do things, and depending on which way you want to form your piece, that'll kind of guide you in which type of clay you'll be using.
So that slipcasting, would that be an example of you come in, pay, money and paint your ceramic?
Mm-hmm.
Would that be, like what they're painting, would that be the result of a slipcast of what someone's made?
Yes, so like at the paint your own places you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yes, those are usually slipcast pieces. So it can be used for mass production, but there are plenty of like professional full-time self-employed potters that make these like incredible 100-piece molds to make these like ridiculous pieces. So there's kind of like a huge scope you can do with that.
What's the kind of pieces that you like to make the most?
So what I've found that I like to do is sort of make a throne piece and then add on slab pieces. So I really love making oval-shaped things, which, after 10 years of throwing on the wheel, it's exciting to me. I just made these bases pretty recently. So I threw the side walls, but didn't put in a base to it. So after it firmed up a little bit, I was able to kind of freeform it, and then change the shape. And later I put on the bottom and added some like feet and cool little side handles and did a bunch of carving on it.
Huh.
So it's just kind of taking it one step further than just a circle.
It sounds like, for me, it's probably a really horrible analogy, but with the potter's wheel, that seems kind of like training wheels. And then with the freeform, it's like you're on your own.
Uh-huh.
And do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Because, would you say it's about accurate?
It depends on what your desired result is. Like I said before, there are so many different ways of making a pot. There's things on the potter's wheel that I can't even begin to think about how you would do it. Like there's these people that make these 5-foot tall jars, and that was just on the potter's wheel. It's a whole different thing. So I guess it's not necessarily training wheels. It's just a different arena, I guess.
It seems like this might be kind of a very therapeutic profession. Kind of, you're building your own, creation.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any things about it that kind of drive you nuts sometimes?
Sure.
That you like the least?
Yeah, absolutely. It's being my full-time job, it's certainly not always therapeutic. I think at least for me, what is therapeutic, kind of, you could say, is just the focus that it requires. If you're not completely paying attention to what's in front of you, you'll miss something, it'll get too dry or it'll crack and you won't be able to work on it. So you really have to be focused and dedicated in the moment right there. And also the creativity is really fulfilling to me. So I guess in those senses it's what did you say? Therapeutic, yeah.
Therapeutic. One of the people in one of the other episodes we talked to, his name is Noel, and he's an art handler,
Uh-huh.
and he deals a lot with the transportation of pottery, glassware. How do you preserve your art or your creations? Don't drop it.
Yeah, don't drop it.
Is there coatings that go onto
stuff
it?
for shipping.
Is there coatings that go on it? Or
Nothing that'll protect it against breakage.
I mean, like sunlight.
Yeah,
being
not
in sunlight
really.
won't cause it to break, or just once you're done, you're done.
Oh. Nah, sunlight won't do anything. Bubble wrap and don't drop it, basically.
Oh, no. Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, if you get it wet again, will that do anything, or is when it's dry, it's dry? Like if you made a vase, someone
so
it
like
in
once,
water, because like I guess
well,
I've
once
seen
a
like
piece is fired.
Yeah.
Yeah, once a piece is fired, the particulates of the clay and glaze have gone through a chemical process that actually it binds the whole thing together. So like once it's smashed, there's no re-adhering those surfaces. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So once it's done
Yeah.
with that chemical process, then it's safe for water to be on it or be out in the open.
Yep.
And I guess
Absolutely.
is that with the kiln would be used for that?
Yeah.
Or oven?
Exactly. But before you fire something, if it's just the dry clay, that can be broken down and recycled.
Okay.
So if I have a piece, I'm not happy with, and I haven't fired it yet, I can throw it in a bucket, pretend it never happened.
That's pretty good. Good way to start over.
Yep.
Is this something that you can take to art shows and sell it pretty easily? Is it like you do for normal art, like paintings and stuff?
Yeah, a lot of people, mugs are so personal. I have a collection of so many. I'm always looking for more. And I feel like a lot of people just really gravitate towards handmade pottery. It's so personal. You hold it in your hands. You can use it every day, So it definitely is something that really grabs people at art shows or just out in the world.
I think it's pretty. Art in general is such a personal thing of what you like, what you don't like. So I think you said, like for me, when I drink coffee, I have my my certain coffee cups for coffee that, could be, a stupid cup or a serious cup. And I think with mugs in general, that's what it is. It's your personality shows. So if you see something and you relate to it, you're going to say, hey, I want that. And you're going to buy it.
Absolutely. And being a handmade item, it almost goes one step further. How often do you get to use an object that, the person that created that, It's like, having the quilt that your grandmother made almost. There's more of a spirit to the item.
Right.
It's more than just an object. It's a whole range of, a conversation you had with someone or, a moment you spent together.
Yeah, it's time put into it too. Like, the things I have now, they're probably mass produced, China, America, wherever. Mm-hmm. But when you have someone that they took their time, and that's one of those things that's kind of rare, is you don't really have that much anymore.
Yep.
Which
it makes it authentic.
Sad. And then plus you're also supporting someone,
mm-hmm.
for what they want to do and what they're good at, and that's a big plus. Do you do like say I wanted a mug, but I want it to have like a troll face? Do you ever do like commission, mugs or vases or?
Yes, I can do custom pieces. I can personalize things. My scope of what I can do, I don't know if I could draw a troll, so I'd have to think about that,
Right.
But so it's sort of yes and no within my range of skills.
I gotcha. So it's just sky's the limit. Just depends on if you can get pulled off. But
Yep.
as again, it comes to art and how you like it. So it's almost anything's possible.
Yeah. Yep.
Where do you see yourself in the next, say, couple of years?
Well, right now I'm working full time in someone else's studio, and I'm working on setting up my own studio. So kind of my 5-year goal is, fingers crossed, to be a full-time self-employed potter. That would just be so amazing to be totally engrossed in making my own work. So I guess that's my plan. Gotta figure out
Right now, is there anywhere that anyone can go to look at your work or purchase items from you?
So right now I just have an Instagram. That'll be in the show notes, and I'm working on getting my studio set up, as I said, and once that's up and going, I'm gonna open up an Etsy shop. I'll have a website, and hopefully have some of my work in local galleries.
For those that can't see the show notes right now, do you know the Instagram off the top of your head?
Yes, it's Lydia J. Ferwerda.
And how you spell that last? Ferwerda?
You got it.
Sweet. I can read my Google Gmail pretty good.
Nice job.
But I really appreciate it. I've talked to painters and sculptors, but never really a potter before. So
Cool.
it's pretty neat. I've seen it in art galleries, but I've always thought it was amazing of just how I think that's one of the most basic forms of art there ever has been.
Yeah,
pottery.
It dates back who knows how many thousands or millions of years. People scoop it up. It's almost like a, maybe not visceral, but it kind of goes back to like the most basic humans. When we were kids, go out and play in the mud.
You built stuff with the mud you played in. You stacked it up.
Yeah. It goes back. It really touched something deep in the recesses of your mind, I think.
It's a very primitive, like we just know how to do it, kind of.
Yeah.
Maybe not make the best things, but we know, hey, you get dirt and water, you put together, you get mud.
Uh-huh.
And then, hey, look, it dries out and you got a little stack of mud. I mean,
yeah.
I just read, like, in the news a while ago that they found, pottery. I think it was from Greece.
Mm-hmm.
But there was, like, the remnants of, like, the food was still there. Not the food itself, but you could tell that the chemical properties were still in there, like, embedded in the pottery.
That's so cool.
Like, someone had that, years ago in their house.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they stored their food. Now here it is, normal day. Here it is.
Yeah. So you were asking about custom pieces. This reminds me of a project I had at work a few years ago. A couple came in. They had been to Israel, and they purchased these ancient, thousands of years old. They had a lamp and an oil jar, and they had me make a reproduction. Let me tell you, touching and getting to hold those ancient objects was so incredible, and it was even more exciting to kind of try to, dissect how the maker created them and then try to make a reproduction.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I mean, I always got, like, when I would see, like, a Roman coin at, the coin shop or something,
mm-hmm.
It's like, this is old. Like, and here it is in my hand.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, what did this coin see? I mean, even though it really can't, see things, but, where did it come from? Where did it originate from? There's just so many things like that. Just the history of items. Like, where were they? Who had it? Was it someone that was poor, someone that was rich?
Yep.
And again, the pottery. I mean, you see stuff. Some simple. and then some just so ornate. And for the ones that have survived the years, that's just pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. And there's people like you that are doing it today, and who knows, 1,000 years from now, still around.
Let me tell you, that keeps me humble.
Yeah.
Sometimes
All right,
yeah.
No, go ahead, finish.
Okay. Sometimes I'll be working on something and I'll be trying to rush through it, and then for a second I remember that if nobody drops this could be around for 2,000 years. Maybe they'll dig it up, in my backyard.
See your name on it.
Yeah. Oh my.
Yep. Immortalized. All right, Lydia. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today, and it was interesting. Learned a lot.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Thanks for listening in today, and be sure to subscribe to the show so you don't miss that one episode that could change your career path. We're passionate about sharing all the possibilities of occupations out there, and we'd like to keep moving full steam ahead. Consider becoming a patron of the show and go to patreon.com/whatdoyoudopodcast to see how you can support the show.